Hey guys, welcome back to Welding with Mr. Sapanic. In today's lesson, I'm going to talk to you guys and walk you through the setup of the Miller XMT 304 and the XMT 350 welding machines for stick welding, SMAW, shielded metal arc welding. When you come into your booth, chances are your welder is probably going to look like this, okay? There are certain steps that you have to follow in order to set these machines up properly. Step number one, on these Miller machines, we're going to take this flap and we are going to fold this flap down, okay? Now, there might have been somebody in this room before you who was using this machine for a different welding process. So, on this dial right here, you're going to see a bunch of different options, okay? One option being TIG welding, MIG welding, we're going to have scratch start TIG. There's a bunch of different options. You're going to be looking for the stick welding setting, okay? So we're going to take this, we're going to turn it right to our stick welding setting. Once we do that, we go ahead and close that flap. Next step is we're going to find our connectors and we are going to determine where they're going to be set up. First off, we need to find out what rod we're using. And for you guys, you're going to be using a 7018 1/8 inch electrode or a 7018 3/32 electrode. Once you determine that, you're going to know that you can weld on either alternating current, which are not these machines, or direct current electrode positive. So when we set this machine up, we're going to be setting it up for direct current electrode positive. In front of me, I have two different wires. First wire looks like this, okay? This is called your electrode holder. This is what holds your electrodes as you are welding. And it's not a ground clamp, it's an electrode holder. On the other end, we have what's called a dense connector, okay? We're gonna take our electrode holder and we're gonna set this up for direct current electrode positive. We're gonna plug our dense connector into our positive terminal. Now this we can just hang right up here. Take this, we're going to line up, there's a little raised spot on here, okay? We're gonna line this up in the top slot, push it in, okay? And we're going to tighten it about a half of a turn until it tightens up in there, okay? You always want to make sure that these are getting tight. If you don't tighten them, they could sit in there loosely. You can actually arc inside of this welding machine and you can damage the welding machine. So we need to make sure that they're in there nice and tight. Now, being in there nice and tight is different than taking a wrench to this and tightening it as far as you can, all right? Just needs to be snug. Once we have our electrode holder plugged in, now we can go ahead and connect our ground clamp. Depending on what polarity you're working with, people will call this a ground clamp if you're welding on direct current electrode positive. This would be known as a work lead if you're welding on direct current electrode negative. Very simple. This opens up. It accepts high currents. So you don't want to put this anywhere close to where you're welding. So what we can do is we can either put this on the back of our table, okay? If we have a place at the bottom of our welding table, we can put it there. We can take this, we can put it on the front of our table. We can put it on the side of our table. Really anywhere on the table, as long as it's away from where you're working. So if I was working on this side, I'm probably gonna put it on that back side. Now, same thing as the electrode holder. We are equipped with a dense connector on the opposite side. We don't need all of this laying on the ground. So we can go ahead and hook up what we don't need. We're going to connect our dense connector, same way, putting that raised spot on top, and we're going to spin this until we have these tight. So, next step after that, this is set up for direct current electrode positive. After we have completed that, now it's safe to go ahead and turn our welding machine on. When you turn these machines on, some of them, it's going to take just a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds on a couple of other machines before it actually gets turned on, okay? When you turn this on, you're going to notice on the left-hand side, you have your voltage. On the right-hand side, you have your amperage. Now, when we are stick welding, we are adjusting our amperage, okay? Voltage is going to stay the same until you're welding, and then that voltage is going to fluctuate up and down depending on your electrode stick out, how hot you're burning, how fast you're going. So that number is going to change. The amperage number, we want that to stay the same. If you're using a 7018 1/8" electrode, the rule of thumb is you want to be between 115 and 160 amps, okay? Now that's depending on the thickness of the material that you're using. You guys are using currently 1/4 inch thick material, so we're gonna take that and we're gonna bring it down closer to the 115 amps. So you're gonna be running between 115 and 120 amps. Yes, it's okay to go below the 115 amps. Yes, it's okay to go above the 120 amps, but that's just gonna give you a range that you need to stay in. Right now, this is set on 114 amps. I could leave this here, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to adjust the amperage. You should just take this knob here, and you just turn it a little bit at a time. Makes it nice and easy, okay? Once we have this on and our ground clamp on, then it's time to get all of our PPE on, grab our material, clean our material, prepare our material, and then get it ready for welding. Once you get this far, your machine's set up, you're ready to start welding.